Good morning, friends. Welcome to our third quarterly community chat. This is a little bit different. This is an asynchronous quarterly community chat where you just get to watch this for a few minutes, and then you can let me know. You can email me, text, call, grab me in person, church one Sunday. Let me know any questions, and we can chat. Then we can have back and forth. But the point of these quarterly community chats is just a chance to check in. As a community, talk about how we're doing, things we don't necessarily, have a chance to talk about in the week to week in the context of a worship service, or just a regular chance to check in. So there's three particular topics that I want to hit briefly in this chat, and then certainly happy to talk with you about anything that is on your mind. First, COVID, briefly, and then quick financial update on how we're doing, and then a little bit of few thoughts on outreach and what we're trying to do as a church in the coming months. So first, COVID update. The first thing I have to say is thank you. It's been now 9 months of this COVID time. We've spent more time as a regular worshiping church in COVID than out of COVID. And I have to tell you that you have been a fantastic church community through all of this. You all have held together well. You've continued to participate in worship, whether in person or online. You've not complained about all the changes as we have changed locations, as we set up a tent in the Alleman's front yard, as we worshiped outside for many months, as we've been setting up and tearing down each week, as we have moved our service time several different times for various reasons. You've not complained as we've gone inside and had to wear masks for different things with all the changes. So thank you for sticking together. Thank you for trusting me, and I really do appreciate it. It's not, if you have friends in other churches, I have lots of friends in other churches. It is not a universal experience. So I'm very grateful to our community. As far as update, I know some of you probably watch the news pretty closely. Others of you may not. So the COVID situation, unfortunately, is not better. At the moment, as we head toward Christmas, right here in Hampton Roads, which is what I've paid the most attention to, our COVID case numbers and both our case numbers and our hospitalizations are higher than they've ever been, even higher than when they surged over the summer when we first reopened. So it's not great. At the same time, there's hope. We understand a lot better now, we think, how COVID is transmitted and how we can keep ourselves safe from it. And the vaccines look very promising as those get rolled out in 2021. So I think there is hope that this may be coming to an end soon, but at the moment we do have to still be quite careful. The most recent guidelines from our governor, actually, I'm no epidemiologist, but they actually make a lot of sense to me. That he has kept everything open. He's trying really hard not to shut down the economy and that kind of thing. So restaurants and all are still open. He has been good to churches. There's no new restrictions on church worship gatherings. The only requirements for church worship gatherings is that we maintain 6 feet of distance and we wear masks when we're inside or when we're outside with more than 6 feet of distance, or with less than 6 feet of distance. You may have heard about a 10-person gathering limit. That is true, but that does not apply to church worship services. The idea behind the 10-person gathering limit is in settings that people are less careful. Settings where people are more careful, stores, businesses, schools, and churches, as long as we're being careful, don't have to follow that 10-person limit. We can spread out, we can wear masks, we're not eating together all around a table and mixing and that kind of thing. So I do believe that our church, I do believe that we're doing a good job with this as a church, and I appreciate you being diligent about wearing masks the past 7 weeks or however long we've been inside now. And so I do believe our services are relatively safe. Of course, it's important, as always, to be mindful of your own symptoms and exposure, and stay home and watch from Zoom. But I do think we're doing a good job with being safe and following those guidelines. So some specifics though with those changes, he did change the masking. He tightened up the masking some. There have been a number of kind of exceptions, like for workplaces and that kind of thing. If you're more than 6 feet apart, it's okay to not wear a mask and that kind of thing. It's now very simple across the board. Anytime you're inside with other people, you should wear a mask. And that is that fits with what I've read about the COVID science as well, that makes a lot of good sense. So that doesn't really change anything for worship. We were already doing that. However, that does mean for our Bible studies, our prayer training, our youth group, all of those settings, if we're inside together, we need to be wearing masks. It doesn't mean we have to stop any of those things. We do think that all of those things are important, and we want to continue doing them. So this past week, those guidelines went into effect on Monday. Our women's Bible study met Monday, our youth group met Wednesday, and our prayer training met Thursday night. And in all of those settings, we wore masks. We kind of kept our distance more or less, and we carried on, and it was fine. So we have decided for now that our neighborhood Bible studies, it's coming into Christmas break anyway, so the Thursday Bible study is taking a break, and we'll figure out, reevaluate in January what they're going to do. The Monday night Bible study will continue on Zoom. We're finishing up Galatians on Monday night. Anybody's welcome to join us. And we're just going to be strictly on Zoom, not in person, just to make things a little bit easier for everybody. We probably won't meet on December 30th, and then we'll pick up with something new in January. So we'd love for anybody who wants to join in that Monday night Bible study on Zoom. All right, that's the COVID update. Next up, we're going to talk about finances. And anytime we talk about finances, we have to start with why, the why. Why do we give money to the church? And there's really two reasons that are in play when we're giving money to the church. The first and most important reason is that giving money to the church is an act of worship. When we give money to the church, we recognize that all we have is a gift from God. And so we do that by giving some of the money back to him. Also, we talk a lot when I'm preaching, when we're hearing from God's word, about keeping ourselves focused on God and trusting in God, not in other things, not in ourselves, and all these kinds of things. And how do we actually do that? And the act of giving money is a tangible way to turn our hearts toward God and keep ourselves focused on him. What we do has a great impact on how we feel, how we think, how we live. And so the habits, like church attendance, like prayer, like Bible reading, giving money is one of those habits. And Christians have recognized this for a long time. So this is why historically Christians have taught that it is right to give 10% of your income to God in some way or another, often 10% off the top. Now, that's not a biblical mandate of a specific number, but it is a good and right habit that Christians have practiced through the centuries. So it's a good goal for all of us to strive toward. And the second reason we give money is kind of the more pragmatic reason. It's to carry out the mission of the church. For Resurrection, our mission is to connect the people of Southern Virginia Beach with God and each other through his word, person to person, neighborhood by neighborhood. And that takes money. It takes time, it takes resources, it takes all kinds of things. And so we give money to the church so we can carry out this mission that we believe we have been given by God for this specific place and time. And so to see how that money plays out in that mission, some of the things that come into it, if this is just kind of a pie chart breaking down the different phrases of the mission and showing how money contributes to that. So if we say our mission is to connect, that takes some administration, some communication, some planning. All those things take time. And so time is paid for with money. So to connect with God, we need rent to have a place to meet. We need to invest resources in worship. We need to invest time, money in prayer, to connect with God, to connect with each other, fellowship, hospitality. These things take money. Through his word, time to prepare sermons, purchasing books, time to spend in Bible studies, resources for Bible studies, person to person, time spent in pastoral care, discipleship, resources for those things, neighborhood by neighborhood, money spent in outreach and evangelism, renting facilities, purchasing advertising, buying food, all these kinds of things. So that's kind of all these things take money. And so the money goes to facilitate this mission and make it possible. So where are we in terms of finances? Where are we going? Keep in mind, we're new as a church family still. We are, as a weekly worshiping community, we've only been meeting together for a little bit over a year. And so it takes time to build up our financial resources as a church community. So our budget, what we call our Honda Accord budget, it's not flashy, but it gets the job done and it's comfortable, is about $14,000 per month. And that's kind of the budget we've been working on since we started meeting for worship. Now, right now, as a church family, we're giving about $5,500 per month. Of course, that's a fairly significant discrepancy there, between a third and a half of what we need. That's actually totally normal for where we are as a church, because the rest is being contributed by outside churches and individuals who've committed to give for the first few years to help get our resurrection community started. And so we are doing fine in that sense. We have plenty of money in the bank as a church. The other people are making up that shortfall quite comfortably, and they are happy to do so. Or the expectation is that over time, our church family will grow and contribute enough to cover this budget and carry out the mission without having support from other people. In fact, the goal would be that we can grow and contribute enough that we can begin supporting similar missions in other places. That the next time there's a new church getting started in Hampton Roads, that we will be the ones who will be able to contribute to them instead of the other way around. So the goal is that we want to increase our internal giving to $14,000 per month by June of 2022. So over the next year and a half, we would like to get to the point where we're giving $14,000 per month as a church family. Now that number, when we're currently at $5,500 a month, you may think that number seems a little overwhelming, but if you break it down, it's actually not as hard as you might think to get there. So this is just a breakdown of how 25 households could realistically give $14,000 per month, realizing that God has blessed different people with different amounts of financial resources, and also thinking in terms of the historic practice of seeking to give 10% of your income. So you'll see there, 6 households giving $700 per month, 6 households giving $500 per month. That's talking about, that's a big chunk of households there, but with annual income that they're willing to give 10% of, with annual income between $60,000 and $80,000 a year. So that is a generous gift, a generous amount of gifting. It may seem like quite a lot to some of you, but that is not out of the realm of possibility for a lot of the incomes in our area. Of course, some people God has blessed with more. They can give more, $1,500 per month, $1,000 per month, or even more than that. Other people don't have much right now. I've never forgotten a pastor of mine from several years ago who would always say, you can't give what you don't have. And the important thing in giving is the heart of worship that you bring to God. So this is a chart you could look at and say, you know what? Yeah, I'm not the person who can give $1,000 per month. I'm not even the person who can give $500 a month. But you know what? God has given me enough that I could give $100 a month. I could see myself fitting in there. Or maybe you can just pick up part of that and say, you know what? Just $50 a month. Maybe you can pick up a couple of these slots. It's all coming from different places, but God uses it all to bring people to get the mission done. So that's a picture of how we can get there. Of course, these are not like required amounts. You can give whatever you want, whatever God lays on your heart. I just put this out there to see realistically how this could happen with the 25 households could give $14,000 per month. Now, to be fair, we don't have 25 households in our church family at the moment. So this is also expecting that God will bring more people into our church community. And then we will get there to carry out this mission together. So what should I do as an individual? The main thing is simply consider what God is calling you to do with your money. It's the end of the year. It's a time that people are thinking about 2021. What is 2021 going to look like? And so some possibilities you can think about for 2021. Maybe you say, you know what, I'm ready. I'm ready to commit to giving 10% of my income to God in 2021. Maybe that means giving it all to Resurrection Community. Maybe that means giving it to some other organizations as well, missions organizations who are doing good work. People do different things with that, and that's totally fine. Some people give 10% to their local church and then give above that to other missionaries. Some split up their 10% in different ways. Some aren't in a position to give 10%. So some of you may look at your current percentage of giving and say, you know what? Right now I'm giving 4%, 3%, 5%. I'm going to try to raise that by 1 or 2% this year. That 10%, just I can't even imagine what that would look like. but I could raise it by 1%. I can see how that might happen, and trust that God will take care of me and God will provide. He has blessed me so far, and he will continue to bless me. Maybe you don't like the percentage of income thing. That just feels weird, or doesn't seem like something you can figure out easily, but you could look at that chart that I had up on the page before and say, you know what, I see myself fitting in here. This is what God has given me and blessed me with, and I can participate in the mission this way. One last quick thing. Mostly we'll be thinking about what we want to do for 2021. But for some of you for whom this matters, just a quick note, if you do deduct charitable donations on your taxes and want them to count for 2020, gifts must be given in person, made electronically, or postmarked by midnight on December 31st. We're a nonprofit organization. We can give you tax receipts, but that has to happen by December 31st. And all the instructions for that are on the website, of course, resurrectionvb.org/give. Also, if you're the kind of person who has stocks and they've done well this year, you'd like to get a tax deduction for those and avoid capital gains tax and all that. To be honest, I don't entirely understand how this works, but I'm told that it's a great idea from a tax perspective. So we can do that. If you're interested in making a donation of stock through our denomination, we can make that happen. But you need to let me know ASAP because they asked for those to be initiated by December 21st, which is I'm recording this on December 19th. That's Monday. So let me know if you're interested in that. I'll give you the details and you can make that happen this week. There's still time to do that. All right, so that's it about money. Third thing I want to talk about is outreach. Why, and again, like money, it starts with the question of why. Why is outreach important? Again, there's kind of two aspects to our outreach when we talk about why outreach. The first reason for outreach, being outward facing, as we say in our core values, looking outside ourselves, is for love of neighbor. The Bible tells us that the greatest command is to love God with all our heart, soul, and mind. And the second is like it, to love our neighbor as ourselves. And so just straight up loving our neighbors around us, all those God has put us in contact with, those who live physically close to us, those whom we are friends with nearby. Love of neighbor includes both tangible acts of love and service, as well as seeking to connect people with God. It's kind of the most loving thing you can do for somebody is to connect them with God. And so the second reason, that's one reason, is just straight up love our neighbors. That's what we're called to do as Christians. That's what we seek to do. And the second reason for outreach is for the expansion of our community, of our church. And the reason for that is, I think all of us would say that here at Resurrection, we've experienced a lot of good in connecting with God and others in this Resurrection community. So it makes sense to invite more people into that good experience. We've had a good experience here. We want to share that with other people. Also, if we grow as a church and have a larger community, as we work together and do things, we can have a greater impact for God's kingdom. There's lots of things that are nice about a very small church. There's lots of things that we can do more if we're a little bit bigger. We can do more in terms of missions, in terms of service, in terms of just there's collective energy in doing things together. And so when we think about looking outside ourselves, and I'm going to give you some ideas here in a minute. Some is just simple, person to person, neighbor love, that we're all called to in every aspect of our lives as Christians. And some of it is seeking to increase the size of our church family because we want other people to experience the good that we have here. So it all comes from a place of love for God and love for our neighbor. So some tangible acts of kind of individual neighbor love. Right now, high COVID times, it does limit what we can do. We can't. Parties are not neighbor love right now. But there are some things we can still do, even right now in COVID times. Just check in with people. Even it's getting a little bit colder now, but people are still outside more than they used to be. Not as busy, not going as many places, or even knocking on a door, texting a friend nearby, leaving a note. Check in with people. It's an expression of love to see how they're doing. My boys and I are planning to bake a whole lot of Christmas cookies and hand them out in the neighborhood. Normally, we'd have a Christmas party or more than one Christmas party. Can't really do that this year, but we're still going to have the cookies. So we're going to enjoy that for ourselves. It feels more like Christmas, but also to love and bless our neighbors. You could write notes or notes of thanks or encouragement. Make somebody's day with that. And then two specific ways you can offer the help of our church The Resurrection Relief Fund are funds that we've gathered from the stimulus, particularly from the stimulus checks back in April. And if we get another round of stimulus checks, you invite you to contribute those again if God has blessed you to be able to do that. That is specifically to help out people in need. So if you talk to somebody and they're like, you know what, lost my job and unemployment's just not cutting it, or the unemployment's about to run out, or I'm having trouble paying my rent, or whatever the situation may be, look on the website for details about the Resurrection Relief Fund. There's an application on the website that they can fill out and talk to our Relief Fund team, and they will be able to help them out. Also, we have our Healing Prayer Ministry. As we offer prayer after church on Sundays, we also offer prayer appointments during the week. That's something that's not just for people from our church. So if you're talking to somebody and they're struggling with a physical illness or emotional challenges, or just struggling in whatever way, and you think they could use some prayer and they'd be open to that, you can mention to them that this is something that our church does, that we offer prayer appointments, that 2 of our prayer team members will sit with them and pray for them, listen to them, love them, and pray for them for an hour at some time that we can all work out during the week. So that's something you can offer to people as a tangible act of love, even right now. The other thing I would encourage you to do is think about what this could look like in a few months. Like I said at the beginning, it looks promising that the Lord may be lifting COVID from us. And over the next few months, I really hope that things will open up more and we'll be able to do more things of group gathering. So I would encourage you to think about how you can create connections within your community. How can you demonstrate love and create connections within your community, within your neighborhood? We have an Easter egg hunt in our cul-de-sac every year, except for 2019. And that's something I would love to help you put on in your neighborhood, whether it's cul-de-sac or local neighborhood park or whatever. I would love to see resurrection Easter egg hunts all around Virginia Beach. Neighborhood cookouts are something else we've done, and they're great. Great chances for neighbors to get together casually and have a good time. Backyard Bible clubs are something that a sister church of ours in Chesapeake loves doing, and I would love to see us do as well. They're generally targeted at elementary kids, where you invite people into a backyard or cul-de-sac or front yard or whatever, and have some fun, some games, some teaching from the Bible. It's a great way to share God's word and God's love with the kids of your neighborhood. These are just some ideas. There's certainly lots of other ideas that you can think of to show love and reach out to your neighbors. The other part of it is specifically to invite people to church. The most obvious time is Christmas Eve service coming up. Lots of people are interested in going to church around Christmas. Our Christmas Eve service of lessons and carols is a great service. It's a traditional service in the sense that people have been doing it for a long time, but it's familiar carols, somewhat familiar stories, some stories that people haven't, some of the promises from the Old Testament that we hear as well. It really tells the whole story of God's love for the world that culminates in Jesus coming at Christmas. So it's a great opportunity to invite somebody to come. There's a postcard for that on the Facebook page and attached to the email that I sent this link out in as well. Also, certainly you can invite people to any Sunday service. Say, come and see. We have a friendly, welcoming community. I think you could really like it there. And you can also invite people to a neighborhood Bible study. We have right now, it's Monday nights on Zoom, but hopefully those will be back in person soon, both in Red Mill and in Salem. Also always interested in starting more. If you're interested in a neighborhood Bible study in your neighborhood, and you might be interested in hosting that, or would just like to see it happen, let me know. We would like to see these neighborhood Bible studies happen in lots of different neighborhoods so people can come, they can walk, they can drive a short distance to get to a place where they can read God's word together and connect with other people. And the last one to be aware of is Christianity Explored is a 7-week introduction to Christianity. It's based on the Gospel of Mark. It's an introduction to Jesus and who he is. It includes, it's a short course. It includes videos that are really well done and a participant guide that people can work through. We did this as a group study last fall. Interested in doing it again soon if there's interest, but also something that can be done one-on-one or in a small group. I would love to help you with that. If you have a friend who's interested in finding out more about Christianity, but a little bit uncertain about coming to a church service or coming to a neighborhood Bible study, that seems a little weird, this is a great opportunity. You can say, you know what, we've got a 7-week easy introduction to the Bible where you can just ask questions, no pressure, just ask your questions. We can do it one-on-one, or you can do it with me and my pastor, or we might be putting together a small group of it soon. Let me know if you want to know more about Christianity Explored or know somebody who you think is interested in that. So then, just like with finances, what should I do now? Here's what I'm asking you to do: to pray that God would give you opportunities to demonstrate his love for others in word and deed. And then pray and ask God to show you how he is calling you specifically to love your neighbors. And it may be one of the things I've mentioned, it may be something totally different. But to really seriously take that and pray and ask God what he is calling you to do. All right, that's it. This is the time where I'd open it up if we were synchronous for this quarterly community chat for questions, comments, or reflections. But instead, I'm going to close the video and invite you to reach out to me with any of those questions, comments, reflections you have. I would love to hear from you.